Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1 has now concluded with its first 10 episodes releasing. So, was Season 1 any good? Well, let's review it. And for starters, I do feel like the animation in the show is unique. Because when I first watched the trailer, the animation looked kind of off, looked kind of like a PlayStation 2 type video game, but with just 3D animation style. So the animation didn't really impress me in the trailer, but then when you actually get to the show itself, the animation matches the tone of the show. The show is going for a comic book style animation, but it didn't want to copy the Spider-Verse. So it made its own unique animation style. And just what they do with the animation, surprisingly, I turned out to like it by the end of the show's run. And it just matched the tone of the show so well. Now the show is no longer MCU canon. If you guys don't know, this show was originally going to be the origin story for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But they decided to change it because they wanted more freedom with the story. But you can still tell the MCU type of storylines in here, because there's just references or just characters that pop up that are in the MCU. Some scenes are almost identical to what Civil War did. So the show just essentially just feels like a what if episode. A what if episode done right. A what if episode of Tom Holland's Spider-Man and just spun him off entirely. The action in the season as well, extremely brutal. It's really pushing the limits of that PG rating, which I'm surprised is PG. Like, some of the action in here is really pushing the limits on PG, because it kind of pushes into the PG-13, well, I guess in this case, the TV-14 zone. And I just like that kind of brutal violence in a Spider-Man project like this. Don't expect over-the-top gore, it's not like that, but it is a lot more brutal than some other Spider-Man movies we have gotten. And the show knows how to treat Spider-Man. We all know that Spider-Man has his humor when he's fighting villains and constantly makes jokes throughout it, kind of like what Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man did. But this Spider-Man does exactly that. The show treats Spider-Man the way Spider-Man should be treated, and treats Peter Parker the way Peter Parker should be treated. So now you're just combining the two aspects together. Because for the live-action Spider-Man stuff, we have Tobey Maguire, who serves as a good Peter Parker, we have Andrew Garfield, who serves as a good Spider-Man, and Tom Holland, who is kind of a mix of both, but never really is a standout between each one. But this animated show is able to capture the right Peter Parker and the right Spider-Man, and we're able to have the humor that Spider-Man has, while also having the nerdiness that Peter Parker is. Now episode 3 and beyond from there, so starting from episode 3, feels like the Spider-Man show that we needed. It starts to have that mature storytelling, like X-Men 97, not on the scale of X-Men 97, but still is able to have that mature storytelling that it needs, and is really able to flesh out these characters, flesh out this world. Because what happens to Lonnie in this, I'm curious to see where that goes in Season 2. What happens to certain storylines and characters that's been introduced in this, I'm curious to see where that goes in Season 2. Because this show just knew how to handle Spider-Man when it came to the villains or the characters or Spider-Man himself. The show and Marvel knew exactly what they were doing and was able to capture the Spider-Man that the MCU has long needed. I'm not saying that Tom Holland stuff is bad, but it was still under that Sony umbrella. Sony still had control over it. This show is almost entirely Marvel's hands, and just shows why Marvel should have the rights back to Spider-Man, because they know exactly what they are doing. Because this served as the best street-level story that Spider-Man needed for a long time. And I'm excited to see where they decide to continue some of these storylines in Season 2, and just to continue to see how great of a show this show can be. My main problem with the season is that episodes 1 and 2 aren't as strong in my opinion as the rest of the show. It feels like setup, it just feels like the introduction to the show, but didn't really hook you in. Episode 3 truly hooked me into the show, and I was more invested in the characters and the story. But the first 2 episodes were just kind of like setup, and that's really what they served as. Didn't hook you in, they were just there to set up the characters and what they're going to go through. Now, I do feel like some characters are wasted. Either if that's just a cameo, or if that's just a character they want to set up down the line. Some characters are wasted, but that could be because they have a storyline planned out for them, but we're only on season 1. There's still a lot more seasons left. So Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1 is a fantastic return to form for the Spider-Man character, and just proves why Marvel should have the rights back to Spider-Man, because they know what they're doing when it comes to the street level side, or just the character building. Marvel knows what they are doing with the character, and this show proves that. Though it doesn't match the heights of X-Men 97, it's not too far from it. And I can't wait to see what they decide to do with the rest of the show, because this was a fantastic first season, and it could just get better from here. Anyways, if you liked this video, maybe these ones on the side of you too, like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.